Hi, Jens. How you doing?
Good. We're back.
Okay, today we have Linda Nelson, and we're going to be talking about distribution, which to me doesn't really matter what you make if you can't distribute it.
Right.
It's a home movie.
And it's always it's one of those topics that's always a little bit of a mystery, especially the new filmmakers.
Yeah.
You know.
How you doing, Linda?
Good morning. I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be on your show.
Okay, hang on one sec. I want to introduce Mandy. Mandy, how you doing today?
Doing good. I'm here watching the comments on Facebook, so let us know if you guys have any questions and we'll get them answered for you.
Okay, let's go back to Linda. You know, lots of times people ask me this question and then they like flame me for it. But it's like you need to kind of attack this whole idea as a business. You're making a movie. Is it marketable? You know, people say, I want to tell this story. It needs to be told. Does it really?
Well, I don't think that people should concern themselves with that particularly, because I truly believe that if someone passionately makes a movie that they really care about, that there are going to be other people out there that will also care about. So then the question becomes, how do you find those people? I have some really obscure movies that do really well. So I don't think that you have to concern yourself so much with the topic as preparation for distribution is a very, very important part of the picture. And if you're well prepared and are willing to do a little extra work than filmmakers used to do, I think you can be successful with any film that you've made that's well made.
I don't know. How do you feel about that, Jens?
Well,
it's like
I think,
Iron Man makes it.
No, but I mean, these days it's different now. The way that you can distribute your movie through Amazon and all these channels now, maybe an obscure film can do well in the long run, you know, maybe even in the short run. But before that, that you had to make a movie more for the masses, I think. I mean, that's how I always perceived it.
Well,
it's a different world now, maybe. So, you know, let's take it from the expert.
Yeah,
maybe
I know.
she's right.
But,
you know,
but
of course.
the difference, the difference is, you know, how big do you want your audience to be? You know, yeah, an obscure movie has an outlet now that it never had an outlet before when only 165 pictures made it to a movie theater.
Yeah.
But now, let's talk about that. I'm going to go back to this first episode that we did on Film Fellas, where I asked somebody, we had a show 10 years ago, and I asked some young people, would you rather have 1,000 people watch your movie in a movie theater or 1 million on the web? And almost everybody said 1,000 in a movie theater. How do you respond to that?
I think it's ridiculous. I can't believe that people will put that much effort into making a movie and not want as many people as possible to see it.
Thank you.
I'm very shocked by that answer.
I think that's also changing now, that attitude. You know what I mean? Now that the web is just everywhere and people are constantly looking. You know, again, I think things, even since that show, I think things have changed in that respect, that answer might be a little different now.
I don't know. We had somebody on recently that said the same thing, that darkened movie theater experience.
Well, that's the prestige factor, but can't you do both,
well, yeah,
Linda?
Yes, absolutely. That should be a part of your strategy. And we endeavor to put most of our films at least into a limited theatrical situation. And, you know, that does give the opportunity to have your film on the big screen in a theater with an audience. And if by any chance that works out really well, that can be expanded.
Well, isn't that sort of required for festivals or for, I remember Oscars. Like the Academy Awards, you have to like, you know, have it in a legitimate movie theater for 3 days kind of scenario?
No, it's actually a week. You have to have screen every day for at least a week. Mm-hmm. Right, and it has to be either LA or New York, and that's enough to qualify you.
So let's talk about this process a little bit. I mean, you've broken this thing into a science. What is the process? So somebody finishes their movie, and then often, I get this all the time. They're like, "I'm starting my film. Now what?"
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's really important to be very prepared for distribution. You're going to make your distributor's job very, very difficult if you have not prepared well. So you start as soon as you have an idea. And I mean, even when you just have a script. there's no reason you can't start a Facebook page the second you have a script and an idea. And all you've got to do to start is put a page of the script up on, the profile picture of Facebook. And we've done that. And it's just the seed that starts to get planted. During pre-production, very, very important that you're making sure that you have an individual title. Go on IMDb, go on the internet and search your title. Make sure you have something that's unique. It causes so much confusion if you have a duplicate title to another movie. So do that, then make sure that you have researched what you need to give a distributor. And there's a lot of places now on the internet to find that information. And I'm talking about what is called deliverables. And those deliverables are very precise specifications. It's much more important now that you technically understand, what you're shooting, and that you communicate to your DP, or if you're shooting it yourself, which is very much the case in small indie films, that you educate yourself and understand what physical assets you have to turn over to a distributor. So you need to know what frame rate you're shooting the movie and what aspect ratio, what's acceptable, what's not. These days, the minimum requirement is an HD ProRes file, 422 HQ. If you do anything lower than that, you're not going to get decent distribution, and your film won't wind up on sites like iTunes and Amazon.
Oh,
so
I want to
really,
interrupt
really
you for 1 second before I forget this. What about the whole 4K situation?
I think everyone should be shooting in 4K, and we have been advocating that for probably 2 or 3 years now. All cameras are capable of shooting in 4K, and so there's no reason not to do it. Right now, there aren't a lot of opportunities for 4K, but it's coming. I wouldn't be surprised this year if iTunes and Amazon both start accepting independent films in 4K. Right now, it's pretty much studio material. Netflix is taking 4K already. I think all of the platforms will be taking 4K by the end of this year. We actually have been putting 4K films up on Fandango for over 2 years now. So there is an outlet for it. We are also finding when we go to Cannes or AFM that foreign buyers are asking for 4K. China, we have 2 China companies that we deal with that only take 4K material. So you can do it, so you should do it. And I think the biggest limitation for independent filmmakers is that they don't have powerful enough computers to process the data.
Okay.
But that technology is getting better too, so that's getting more affordable as well.
Okay, I want to put this baby to rest once and for all. Independent filmmakers think that studios give a damn if the thing was shot on a Red or an Alexa or on this or that camera. Does it matter what camera you shot this thing on?
No, I don't believe so. As long as you're getting good HD quality, your film's going to look better if you have a camera and good lenses. The better camera and lenses you have, the better your film's going to look. But we have successful movies that are shot with much less expensive cameras.
Well, it is to me, and I've always said this, and this is whenever anybody asks me for advice, I always say, your film is sold on the quality of your story. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It has nothing to do. I mean, case in point, this movie, The Celebration. Do you remember that movie? And shockingly, it had a $1 million budget, but all of it was put into actors. And I want to bring up this topic. The movie was amazing, but they shot it with like a consumer grade DV camera at the time. But after you pass a minute of the thing, all of a sudden you could care less because the story just goes somewhere and you are engrossed. So,
and if the lighting was good, but more importantly, if the audio was good.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. But let's talk about this actor component. So how important, so you have your budget, and this is a topic that we've talked about many times. I always say, number one line item, food. People just forget about the food. Number two, would be story, get a script doctor. And everybody to me says, what do I need a script doctor for? I wrote it, it's perfect, you know. But to me, if I had, you know, X amount of money, I would try to get some kind of name, you know, something to ride my coattails on. Have a great story, number one, some kind of name, number two. Can you respond to that?
Okay. When we're looking at acquiring films, the most important thing to us is story. Absolutely. After that, it's acting, and after that, it's production value. So in that order, so yes, the writing's really, really important. But if you have really good actors and you don't play puppeteer, you know, as a director, you can allow your actors to bring out the best of that story. And we see that happen all of the time. So I'm not as concerned with the exact words on the page of the script, but the intent has to be clear, the story has to be clear, and then the acting has to be really good. But something that's important to remember is that you may not be able to do a SAG production and hire SAG actors. And I think there are a lot of really great actors out there that aren't necessarily in SAG yet. So I think that there's really good acting available to even the smallest budget film.
Wow, it's interesting because when we're hiking in the Runyon Canyon there, and you know, every single person you pass is talking about, you know, and I hear laughing, as talking about some kind of production. Mm-hmm. Or if you're eating at Cantor's, somebody is talking about some kind of production. And whenever anybody describes their film, they're like, oh, I got this person who was in this thing. And I'm like, well, I never heard of them. But it's, like I said, some kind of name to attach.
It helps in your marketing, no doubt. You know.
You didn't really address that.
I think that you have to really look closely at your casting now, in the sense that any edge you can give your marketing through your talent is great. There are so many social media platforms that really feature talent now, whether it's Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. You can find people that have huge followings, and that's really an advantageous thing for your film, if they can act, of course. And so we really look to see when we're looking at acquiring a film. And that's another thing that you can do during pre-production. Again, it's very, very important. And I kind of skipped over some of this stuff. We went off on a tangent. But it's really, really important when you are casting and getting your talent to commit to your film, that you also make them commit in writing to doing a certain amount of social media. This is critical because we've seen films where there'll be someone in the film that has 2 million followers on Instagram, and then after the film comes out, they don't make one post. So it's useless to have them in there. Mm-hmm. You know, so that you can put that commitment in writing, that they have to do 20 posts over a certain period of time, and you're going to give them, you know, some information about what they should be posting. If you do that, that can really be huge for you. And my test for if somebody's a name is to ask my partner's mom, have you ever heard of so-and-so?
Oh, boy.
And if she says no, she knows who Brad Pitt is.
Yeah, I don't know that I would agree with that, though, because there is a young market. Think about this. And this is a topic that we haven't really talked about. In other words, a lot of people make a movie, and I ask them, so who's your market? And they're like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, if your market is, you know, 18 to 25-year-olds, and I don't know who the actor is, I don't care. People who are 18 to 25-year-olds need to know who that actor is. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't think it's necessarily, you know, that important. Some of our most successful films are totally no name. In fact, most of our films are totally no name. I would say maybe not even 5% of our films have a recognizable name in them, and some of them are really, really successful. So social media marketing is critical, and you've got to commit to that yourself. The filmmaker now has to understand that there are 5 phases of production. You've got development, pre-production, production, post, and now you have post-post. And post-post is all about posting in social media, and it's the longest cycle in the life cycle of your film. And it's something that every filmmaker now has to, just commit to. It has to be part of the life cycle of a film if you want people to see it. And it's something they're not really teaching in film school. And a lot of filmmakers learn, by trial and error, when they haven't done this and haven't been willing to learn how to engage with their audience. So this is something that just has to be done now, and it has to be part of the filmmaking vocabulary.
So Linda, I got a question. Me and Steve, we do a lot of BTS on all the projects we do. So it sounds like you're saying that really should be from the very beginning part of this whole thing, and maybe even like an ongoing connection with your audience with BTS, even from the very beginning of pre-production, getting people excited about the script, bringing them along for that ride through production, and maybe even in the editing phase, just to
yeah, I mean, you don't realize that we're doing a project right now, and we're dealing with influencers, which, that kind of makes me want to vomit. But the point is we're negotiating what their fee is going to be, but more importantly, exactly what you said, Linda, how many posts are we going to get afterwards? And are they going to shoot little things like, here, I'm on day 3, and today's going to be really exciting because I get, my kiss scene or this or that or whatever.
They contract them to do that.
They have that little 15-second clip that they can put on Instagram, and we're doing exactly what you're saying. We're saying every time we put an episode out, you got to do at least 2 posts. And that actually gets to a financial commitment. They're saying, okay, 1 post this much, 2 posts that much.
Right.
But even if you don't have an influencer, let's say,
Well,
you get your movie needs like a page, and then you need to feed it like behind the scenes stuff. It seems like it makes sense to me, right?
Jump in, Linda.
This is what we suggest filmmakers do. We talked about during like development and pre-production and getting ready. Once you're on set, say you've got 20 people, running around doing things. It used to be that they would sit around, twiddling their thumbs with nothing to do in between takes and setups and whatever. Well, the fact of the matter is now, every single person in your cast and crew has got a 4K camera in their pocket. That 4K camera, everyone should be collecting little videos every day, every single day. And all the filmmaker has to do is make a Google Drive space available and have everybody upload their videos every day to that drive, and you're accumulating all this incredible behind the scenes assets that you'll have in your arsenal when you get ready to create all of your social media platforms and flush them out and make have that material ready for marketing once you're ready to release the film. You can have a huge amount of digital assets ready to release.
That's a great idea. I mean, we have the sort of banned things on set, and that includes water bottles, coffee bottles like Game of Thrones, coffee cups, and phones. But see, it depends the level of project you're doing. These phones things can go either way, because we know people that are getting in trouble for, well, you know about this, like where they'll shoot a little movie and then they'll blast it out on the internet. And, if it's a serious project, that is just not allowed. So we needed to let people know.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I took a picture once when we were on a movie, and remember how much trouble I got?
But a lot of these independent films want that exposure.
Yeah, that's true. But you don't want to give the story away.
True.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
And you have to instruct, your whole cast and crew. You have a meeting beforehand, and you say, these are the things you can do, these are the things you can't do. And that way, you avoid getting any spoilers out there.
Exactly. Okay, so let's, were there any other things that, I know we sort of veered off topic, and we do that all the time because this is kind of exciting and live, but before you get started, we were talking about things that you need to think about. In other words, you're thinking about, you know, I got to have these lights, these cameras, I got to pay these crew members, I got blah, 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 blah. What other things did we not cover?
Well, for example, and we've had a big issue with this with one of the films that we're trying to release right now. Make sure that you have releases and acquire the rights to anything that's in your movie. I don't care whether it's music, locations. These things have got to be taken care of legally. And it's easy, even on a really inexpensive film. You can find the forms online, you know, for location releases, and you can find instructions on how to acquire music. My theory on music for low-budget films is to find someone who's willing to do an original score for you, and there are plenty. I probably get 2 or 3 composers a week saying, I really want to write a score for a movie, I'll do it for free. Okay, literally. So, and it's all original, it's a work for hire, you own it, you're never going to have any issues with that. So that type of legal stuff is critical, you know, if your movie's not going to run into troubles afterwards. And also, you do want to make sure that you get all your social media profiles set up. And the critical ones now are Facebook, and they all serve different purposes. For us, Facebook is a good way to interact live with an audience the way you're doing here. It's a great place to store all your digital assets, like your videos, because they give you the option of setting a release date for each of those videos. So that's something that you can be working on all the way through production. Instagram is the most popular place, especially for younger audiences right now. Critical to have a great presence there. Learn how to use hashtags. A big part of our company mission is to educate filmmakers how to engage with their audience. And we give all of our filmmakers a 50-page marketing guide of how to get everything set up, how to use each one and optimize each one, because each one is different in the way that you optimize them. Hashtags are important on Instagram, keywords and descriptions on YouTube. And so we use YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Those are the 4 primary things. Plus, learning how to get reviews for your film once it's released. And it's really important what writers and bloggers have to say about your film. And there's a method to actually getting that done. There's nothing more impressive than having a Rotten Tomato page that's filled with fresh tomatoes. And, having a great IMDb score. Those 2 review sites I consider to be the most important.
So Linda, when somebody's getting started, when do they get you involved? From the very beginning, from the moment they have a script ready? In
general, we don't get involved with people until their film is complete and they're starting to submit to film festivals. So when people are in film festivals are usually when they contact us, unless they already have a film with us. And so we have a lot of repeat filmmakers, and we have 5 films from some people, we have 8 films from other people, and people stay with us once they come with us because it's almost like a family in the sense that we support each other. And so then we'll work with people earlier on when they making their next film to help them make sure that they get off to a good start.
Right, like we had Bruce Logan on. You worked on
yes.
Lost Fair, right? That seemed to go well. How's he doing so far?
Lost Fair, in the beginning, Bruce and Elliot, his partner in the film, they really weren't doing much social media at all. In fact, probably nothing. And it's because they're kind of old school and they're used to being a work for hire on a film and getting paid to do their specific job in that film. So this time they decided to take on the role of filmmakers and make their own movie. And I have to say, I love that movie. It's one of my favorite films from all of last year that we took. And it was getting off to a bit of a slow start, and they weren't really enthusiastic. They're not big social media people, for marketing. But I finally, convinced them to start, and they now have taken on a young woman that's helping them with the social media, and the film is really starting to take off, and we're so excited. They had over 7 million minutes of viewing on Amazon in the past 4 weeks, which is huge.
Okay,
Huge.
here's the big question that we haven't got to. And, everybody, I get an email every 2 days that says, how do I contact Netflix? And I try to explain to people that this sort of process where, you have to have, an agent, years ago we used to, have an entertainment attorney. Let's talk about we did a huge disservice here. We never actually had you tell us what you are, Linda. I'm sorry, I should have done that at the beginning of the show, what your title and your company does. But let's talk about the types of people. You can't just be a lone wolf out there and distribute your film. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, in fact, you can, but you're not going to have very much of an audience if you do that. And I think, that as a last resort, if you can't find a good distributor to work with, then you can do DIY and you can put your films up through a pay-to-play service, because there are companies out there where you just give them money and they will put your film up in a limited number of places. So that is like an option, but I think it should be your last resort. Indie Rights is a distribution company that was founded 10 years ago. It's actually 12 years now by my partner, Michael Madison, and myself. And we founded it because we were filmmakers and we couldn't find good distribution for our films. We were on the festival circuit. We were getting offers that we were very unhappy with. We thought, how in God's name are we ever going to make a living making movies and doing what we love, So we decided 12 years ago to start a distribution company, and that became Indie Rights. And Indie Rights now has a catalog of over 700 films. We have very different business model than other companies, and we are very adamant that filmmakers should be able to sustain themselves through their art. And if you're willing to learn, you can do that.
It's like, let's say you really want to get this distributed. The DIY thing, you can do it. But if you really want to do it, let's talk about the different types of agents that you can get and what the process is to actually getting it in front. You can't just contact Netflix and say, here, look at my thing. You have to go through a licensed agent of some kind, entertainment attorney, producer's rep. Let's talk about these different types of people.
It is really important that if you want to be on Netflix, that you do find someone that has an existing relationship with Netflix and can pitch your story to them. But I will warn you that right now, their business model is geared very much towards original content. It's geared towards series. And it's also a very different payment model for filmmakers. Netflix pays a flat fee for a period of time, and you're going to be exclusive with them pretty much. So if that's what you want, and I have to say, every filmmaker that comes to me, the first question they ask is, can you get me on Netflix? And pretty much I'm telling them, no, that's not really where you want to be as a filmmaker. Now, I have to precede that by saying that we do not deal with big budget films, like $10 million films and up. We don't do that. Most of our films are under $3 million. I think that the distribution model is a little bit differently. Now, it's very, very easy to find a distributor. It just takes some effort, and that's what people have to be willing to put in. If you're brand new and you live in Arkansas and you know no one in the business, it might be helpful for you to get what's called a producer's rep. And there are some reputable producers reps out there, like Circus Road Films. And there are companies that you can pay a fee and they will hold your hand and they will present you with some distribution options. And they'll walk you through the process. They'll look at your contracts that are being offered and offer you advice on those things. So I think that's a really good option for someone who is terribly disconnected and doesn't have any access to, those types of resources. if you're a little savvy and you live in LA or a big city and there's lots of other filmmakers, there's lots of ways to find a good distributor. For example, you can even go on Sundance's website and sundance.org, and they have on there a list of like 20 or 30 distributors. We're on that list, thank goodness. And so all you have to do is start going through that list and contacting people that you might be able to work with. So that's the beginning thing. The first thing, you have to do your research. You have to reach out to these people, and then you have to do your due diligence. Any company that you're considering working with, it's essential that you go on IMDb Pro, and if you're broke and you don't want to subscribe to it, you can use the free trial to do your research. But anyway, go on there, look up any single distributor that you're considering working with, and go through the list of films that they represent and that they're distributing for. Look up that film. And there's always going to be contact information of how to get a hold of the producers, how to get a hold of the filmmaker. Call them up, ask them, are these people treating you fairly? Do they give you a report every quarter? Are you getting paid? Are you happy with them? Are they accessible? Can you get them on the phone? Do they answer your emails? If you just make those 10 phone calls, your decision will be very simple about who to go with. So it's all about reputation and the relationships that the distributors have with their filmmakers.
Okay. I want to grab a viewer question or two because I know we have some, and then I want to get back to talking about the various types, VOD, SVOD, TSVOD, I mean, all those VODs. Okay, yes. Mandy, what do we got in the question department?
Yeah, we had a question come in from Tanya, which I believe you guys touched on. It says, Linda, how does an independent producer reach out to Netflix about selling their documentary feature?
If that's all you want to do, you can call a company like Distributor and they'll pitch it for you. You're going to pay them X amount of dollars and they'll do that. So anybody can do that.
Yeah, why is Netflix so damn important, man? I'm fine with Hulu, Amazon. There's a million other places. Talk to us about that. I
agree. I happen to think that you're best served and your movie is best served by getting your film out on as many outlets as possible. We do global distribution. We're a studio, and Amazon has graced us with the ability to put your film in 120 countries. Why wouldn't you want that? And not only that, you want to be able to satisfy the viewing options that people have. Some people only watch movies on iTunes on their Apple TV. So you want your movie on iTunes. Some people live on YouTube. So you want your movie to be available on Google Play and YouTube movie rentals. Other people just use Amazon Prime, and that's where they watch all their movies. So you want your film on as many places as possible.
I would agree.
That's our theory.
Movies are secondary to series. Everybody wants on Netflix to watch series. And frankly, even on Amazon, the hot topic is, all I ever hear about from young people is, here's my movie, here's my movie, here's my movie. You and I don't want to do a movie. I want to do episodic entertainment. That's where it's at to me.
I enjoy both. So, I mean, I already watched all of Bosch, the whole series, the whole season. That's done. And Hannah, which I thought was terrific. So I can sit on the couch and go for 5 hours straight if I really need to relax and get out of my head. So,
yeah, well, we're all doing that. And you just proved my point that this episodic, the binge watching concept of episodic entertainment. Like last night I was trying to figure out this new show on Starz, and I'm like, my cable company Comcast doesn't have some kind of a contract with Starz. So I'm like, I got to watch these, I got to record them on my DVR now. I'm like, I don't even remember how to do that. I'm like, I want to watch all of this. It's this Princess of Aragon is on Starz. I want to watch them all at once, just like you're saying. And that's what everybody wants to do. That's the whole binge watch concept. So
that being said, I watch way more movies than I watch TV.
Okay,
series.
let's get another
So-
viewer question.
I have two viewer questions here. One is from Frankie. Is physical media dead?
Okay,
No.
wait, what?
Physical media?
Help us with that.
Yeah, like
No.
DVDs.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I would say yeah.
No, no, I don't agree. We still release just about every one of our movies on DVD and Blu-ray, and there are several reasons for doing that. One, if you live in a big city like we do, we're really lucky. We have really fast internet. But let me tell you, you'd be shocked how many people live in areas of the country that just can't stream movies. They have that little buffering wheel going all the time. So it's not an enjoyable experience to be in the middle of a show, you know, and have your internet be so slow that it's buffering. So there are still a lot of people that like to watch movies on DVDs and Blu-rays. So we do put them out. Now, what's changed is the distribution model for physical media. It used to be really, really challenging to guess how many DVDs and Blu-rays you should print to ship out to stores or to Blockbuster back in the day. But now you don't have to do that anymore because the technology allows what's called manufacture on demand, MOD, so that we put your DVD and Blu-ray in about 40 different online stores like Best Buy, Barnes & Noble, Target, Amazon. And that way, this company that manufactures them picks up those orders from all of those online stores and ships them out the next day. So there's no guessing how many to print ahead of time and have that downside risk.
Wow.
That's completely eliminated.
didn't-
We love doing
Wish
it
we
that
could.
way.
Wish we could do that with our parts.
The funny thing is, I was just going to say, where do you buy a movie? But she just listed a few. I guess Amazon, Best Buy. I couldn't even think about that.
I'm always going through the bin that they have of these movies and stuff, and if there's one interesting there, I might pick it up.
Oh my God, I don't even have a DVD player anymore. But I want to get into, now that we're talking about these sort of distribution ways, let's talk about the whole VOD concept and all the different VODs there are. Because Jens and I were talking about them, and there were a couple we couldn't even figure out what they were. Let's start with that list.
Let's start first with what's called TVOD, TVOD, or PVOD, PVOD. Those are both the same thing. It's either paid transactional, and it means that you're actually buying or renting. So you're paying for it. iTunes is a perfect example of TVOD. Also Google Play, Fandango Now. You're actually paying with a credit card to watch or rent the movie. Now, if you purchase it, you're not physically purchasing the movie. You're purchasing a license to view that movie anytime you want. So you can go back and watch it again anytime. When you're renting it, there's usually a rental window of anywhere from 48 to 72 hours where you could watch it multiple times. So that's paid, what's called paid transactional. And the next thing is what's called SVOD, which means subscription VOD. Now, there's two different kinds of subscription as far as distribution goes. Netflix is a subscription model. You pay an annual fee or you pay monthly, and then you can consume all of the films or TV series that you want to watch. The thing with Netflix is that they're paying the filmmaker just one flat fee for anywhere from a year to 18 months. And so that's it. And you get paid that flat fee, and they've got it, and it's there. Now, another type of subscription is what Amazon Prime does, which I feel is way more beneficial to an independent filmmaker because they pay you by the minutes watched. And there's a complex algorithm that figures out what that pay rate is per minute. And but still, you are being rewarded by participating in social media and really engaging with your audience. So the more you engage with your audience, the better you're going to get paid by Amazon. And starting on April 1st, they have a whole new payment plan. And the way that works is that at the end of the month, they're going to run this algorithm and see how much you engage with your audience. And they're going to give you a CER, which is a customer engagement rating. The higher that rating, the more they're going to pay you per minute. So we will not find out until the 15th of May what the customer engagement rating is for each of the films that we have on that on Amazon. So we have about 700 films on there right now. So it's going to be very interesting to see, who's it really engaging with their audience. And there's a lot of ways that Amazon can tell how you're engaging with your audience. For example, they happen to own IMDb. And so you'll see your IMDb score on the Amazon detail page for your movie or TV show. And so we teach our filmmakers to make sure that they are encouraging people to rate their movie on IMDb and keep monitor their rating there and make sure that it's not slipping, so it's really important that subscription model pays by the minute. So then the next form is what's called AVOD, which is ad-supported VOD. The best example I can give you of an AVOD channel is Tubi. Tubi TV is available on your computer, your laptop, your phone, your television, on Roku, and we should talk a little bit about Roku later too. Now, but what they do is they sell advertising and place it on your movie. And then depending on how many impressions you get, i.e. how popular your movie is and how many people are getting to see the ads that are on your movie, that's how you get paid. So we get half of the advertising revenue that's on your film. And so we have films that are actually making more money on Tubi TV than they are on Amazon. So and what's interesting is when filmmakers come to us, they say, "Oh, don't put my movie on Tubi because you're giving it away for free." Well, no, we're not giving it away for free. It looks like it's free to the audience because they're watching it and they have to watch ads, just like old-fashioned TV, So, but you as a filmmaker are actually getting paid that advertising revenue. And so we think it's an absolute great way. And I have to tell you, there's more poor people in this country than there are rich people. And not everyone can afford to spend $100 or $200 subscribing to really expensive cable, internet, and, so it gives you an opportunity for everyone to watch your movie.
What about, we didn't really talk about the foreign market. It used to be like, 10 years ago, before all this, our goal was to spend $200,000, try to recoup that from the foreign market, and then worry about how we're going to make. You get the model there. Whatever happened to the whole foreign market scene?
Oh, it's still there. And in fact, I'm just turning to the right and looking at the floor where we've got 5 suitcases that we're packing up because we're about to leave for Cannes in 2 days. So as a company, we go to two markets each year. We go to Cannes in south of France, and the Cannes market runs concurrently with the Cannes Film Festival, which is going to be really exciting this year. And then we also, 6 months later in the fall, have a office at the American film market. I think it's a very, very important part of the distribution model, and we offer global distribution through our company. So when we go to the market, we have a big booth in Cannes, and we have a catalog, a printed catalog, and we email buyers from the database Senando, which is published for people that are exhibiting, and we set up appointments and we meet with people. I think we probably have sold more films to China than any other indie distributor out there. We've sold about 40 films to China, and I think that's really exciting. We sell to Korea, we sell to the UK, we sell to Germany. It's still out there. I think that as years go by, the next 4 or 5 years, it may become less necessary to physically go to a foreign market because of the internet. And now there are a lot of internet movie databases that allow buyers to see what's available in the marketplace, and you can actually have a relationship with buyers without going to that market. So I have no idea how long that is going to stay in place, but global sales are really, really important.
It's interesting because, in America here, we don't watch foreign films to speak of. We really don't, because we're not reading here. And if it's dubbed, we're just not accustomed to that whole dubbing thing. But I remember years ago, like when you would be in foreign countries, they would have one person dub all the voices, and they're okay with that. We're not, because, but American films do well globally, but French films do well in France. So when you're taking these films to foreign markets, are you dubbing them? Are you having subtitles? Or does most of the world just speak English?
Well, that's a really good point. Say, for example, for Amazon, there are 68 territories that are considered English speaking where we can put our films. If you consider French, and who knew the French were so powerful, there are 30 additional countries or territories if you get French subtitles. So that's a lot more territories, that your film can be seen, and that's with French subtitles. Then for Spanish, there's probably another 25. So right there, you're over 100 territories just with 3 languages. And now it used to be that subtitles were extremely expensive, but there are now some really great companies out there that do them very reasonably priced. We use a company called Rev.com. It's an online service. They'll do closed captions for $1 a minute, in 3 days, or for $3 a minute, they'll do foreign languages. So it's very reasonable now to make your film available in so many countries. In general, we don't dub, but if we acquire a foreign film that seems worth it, and I'll talk about one, like we've acquired a film that was written, directed, and stars Terrence Hill. Terrence Hill is a major movie icon all over the world, except probably in America. He did this beautiful road trip movie, and it's made in Italian. And we thought, oh my gosh, I'd really love for this movie to be widely seen in the States. So we did have it dubbed into English. And the company did a beautiful job, very reasonably priced. And so they found great acting voices for all the characters in the film. And they're all different, voices, obviously. And it came out great. So we're going to be releasing that film in the United States this summer. Because like you said, we know that most Americans don't like to read subtitles or watch foreign films with subtitles. So in this case, because Terrence is a major star, he's got over 2 million Facebook fans and verified, and we thought, and he's very into working with us on the film. So in this case, we dubbed.
I know we have another viewer question. What do we got, Mandy?
Yes, Andrew would like to hear about the process of getting on Hulu. Is it same as Netflix or more accessible?
Hulu works exactly like Netflix. We used to have a lot of films on Hulu, and they used to have ads. And so we had films that did very well on Hulu. But about close to a year and a half, almost 2 years, they decided to go exactly the same route as Netflix. So they now pay a flat fee, and again, like Netflix, their business model is geared very much towards series, and they also want exclusivity. So Hulu and Netflix we have kind of in the same bucket, and for indie films, I don't think it's a great option.
Viewers, yeah.
Okay, it goes back to your question, Steve, about would you rather a certain number of people see your film, or do you want it available to everyone? So if you just in your mind Netflix is the place to be, or Hulu, then you can go there, but you're going to miss out on a lot of audience if you're a small film.
Yeah, viewers, don't be so crazy. Yeah, you're right. It gets back to that movie theater thing. Why are people being so specific? I want to be on Netflix. I want to be on Hulu. Amazon is even a stronger platform. If you look at the amount of money that they're spending, I believe it goes Netflix. You know, I think the entire broadcast industry falls below Netflix, then Amazon, then Hulu. Who cares, man? I just want eyeballs and money.
Exactly.
Okay, exactly. Thank you.
I got a question, Linda. So Steve and I did a pilot for something that would have been a series if we were going to go ahead with it. If you have a series idea, do we go through you as well, or is that and how is that process different?
We don't pitch development projects to Amazon for other people. That's something you would do with an agent. You know, you would want somebody like William Morris or, you know, an agent to do that type of thing. That being said, if we have a filmmaker that's in our indie rights family and we are going to be producing with them, that's another story. Then we could pitch to Amazon.
Well,
but in general, we don't do it for anyone that's not, you know, really well known for us.
Well, here's the difference, and I don't know if this makes a difference, but we actually shot a pilot. So I know some people want to pitch a series from paper or pitch it with a pilot and paper. What's the difference there?
We've had several people do this. They'll produce the pilot as a way to have a proof of concept. And if you can show that pilot is hugely successful, it's then going to catch the attention of people like Amazon and Netflix that want to base a series on it. They may decide, oh, we're going to have totally different actors or something, but if you've got something and it's really, really successful, they're going to come knocking on your door, trust me.
Well, and we've seen that. We did that show about, which I just so wanted to do, about brown girls. I don't know if you know about that. And then HBO, they did a little web series, not a lot of money, shot it here in Chicago. Brilliant marketing concept, and HBO came knocking on their door. And same thing with this show about the marijuana salesman. What's the high maintenance, I think it was originally called. They came knocking on his door. So a lot of our viewers, and us especially, we've been from the day one into web series. I think web series, don't be afraid, do a web series. It's easily convertible, and somebody can see how that could be an actual series. Yeah. If you want to get an episodic content. What do you think?
I guess my question was, so we have this pilot now. Would we distribute it like the way you are describing for movies to get that attention?
Well, we can't distribute it. We only have a thing.
Yeah,
No, you can. Yeah. If it's a decent length pilot, you can distribute that like through us on all of those channels, and if it gains the attention, then you might get someone's attention to want to do the series. We have, for example, an example of that right now. We just released we're about to release a film called Billboard, and it also has a web series that's attached to it. And there's like, I don't know, right now I think we have like 8 episodes for the web series, and we put the web series out first, these little 8-minute segments, and then the movie's going to release at the end of this month, and we'll see what happens. You know, so it's there are a lot of different ways you can try, but you know, if that is successful and it gets a lot of attention, then it's very possible that could turn into a major series.
Okay, let's go back for another viewer question.
Yeah, I have Kim Wang. He says most of our investors are only interested if they hear Netflix or Amazon. They don't care for the message, but how soon and how much they will get in return. Can you guys speak about that?
Yes. It's up to the filmmaker to educate their investors. That's my feeling on that. And all of the things that we've been talking about, you need to make them understand that Netflix and only Netflix is not how you necessarily have to go. You know, it's something that everybody is asking, can you get my film on Netflix? And I spend at least probably 20 minutes with every filmmaker explaining why that may not be their best option. So I think the filmmaker has to take responsibility to educate their investors about this.
Okay, filmmaking 101. What is it, Jens?
Don't spend your own money.
Thank you. Filmmaking 102. Never make a movie about, making a movie.
Yes, of course, man. That rule's been broken a few times.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know about successfully.
Yes, no, successfully.
Thank you,
it
James.
is.
So anyways, let's talk about the money of it now. So you get people that think, oh, wow, I'm going to rack up my credit card and make a movie. Now we have this sort of crowdfunding, but what do you feel about using your own money to make a movie?
Well, I've done it twice. And, okay. These days, equipment is relatively cheap. You can make a really good-looking money making film for $50,000. It won't have a big star in it, but if you're really committed, we have one film from over a year ago that cost $20,000-$30,000, and it's made over $600,000. So it doesn't have any names in it at all, and so there's no reason why you can't, if you have decent credit. I mean, we spent $50,000 in credit cards and made a movie. You can do that. You can collect, from 10 people, $3,000 or $4,000 and make a movie. That's possible.
Ooh, I don't like that.
So,
I don't like it, man. I mean, come on, you're going to get one shot at this, it's like, and then you're going to have this massive amount of debt. My feeling is this: if you can get an investor, people are always like, well, if I get an investor, they're going to take half of the money away. I'm like, man, if you got half of anything, you should be elated. So if you can get an investor, if you can get the money elsewhere, fight, claw, do whatever you got to do to not use your own money. Because the idea here is you get a small success, then you get another success, and then you get another success, and it's those successes that you build upon.
I agree with that. There's, that's a great way to go too. I'm just saying, I mean, you should never mortgage your house, okay? You should never, put your family at risk. I'm not saying to do any of that. But, when we started out, we had a day job. So we didn't have to worry about paying rent. The company we were working for gave us, a free house, and they didn't pay us very much money. But so we didn't have any kids, so we didn't have any obligations, to worry about. So we were comfortable doing, using our good credit to do that, and we did, and we paid it off, and it was fine, and it helped us get started. We wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't have our company if we didn't do that. But there's lots of alternatives. There's good crowdfunding. I think it's getting harder and harder to raise money on Kickstarter because so many people are on it. But investors, there's no reason not to use investors. But what I tell people is don't mislead your investors. There's nothing worse than being unethical when you're raising money for a film. An investment is not a loan. Investors need to understand that they're not guaranteed they're going to get their money back, and filmmakers have got to stop telling people, oh, you can make a lot of money. You can't do that. It's the riskiest investment out there, and if you're honest with your investors and you show them other movies that have made money with their with their films, then you can be reasonable with investors and do that. We have lots of good data that we've collected from all the films in our catalog, and we share that data with our filmmakers so that they can have reasonable expectations about what's possible. Not necessarily what their film is going to make, but what's possible.
All right, I know we have one more viewer question.
Yep, we have a question here from Frankie. Does any genre sell better than others?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. And the answer is no. It's amazing. We have films of every genre in our catalog. And we have films of every genre that are successful and films of every genre that are unsuccessful. One of our most successful films right now is a very low budget documentary about alien abduction.
Oh, well, that's a
Doing-
hot topic. Are you kidding? That's
Well,
huge.
I would never have rented it. I mean, it's not my cup of tea. I was shocked, really, quite frankly, that it's done so really, really well. But the filmmaker really understands how to engage with his audience. He's established relationships with all of the bloggers that write about this stuff and all the conspiracy theorists. And so he, is so connected to that audience. It's doing terrific. Then we've got other, really good, solid, well-produced documentaries that aren't connecting with an audience, and they're not doing well. So, and the filmmaker absolutely has to take some responsibility for that, because I do believe that you can make a film about anything and find an audience. If you make a movie about squirrels, you can go on YouTube and find all the people that are into squirrels. So
Yeah, but the question was, what is really more popular? I always thought the horror slasher thriller, very popular,
In the low
rom-com,
budget?
very low popular in the low budget space.
we have films of every genre that are doing well. I mean, Lost Fair, it's not a horror film. It's a drama. It's a serious drama.
Thriller road, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's a drama. It really is a drama with a story, with a really good story, and it's doing great right now. So we're really excited about that.
Okay, Linda,
so.
this was an incredible educational experience. This show is a must-watch for everybody, because these are the questions that we literally get on a daily basis. It's not about how to make a movie. It's not about any of that. It's like, how do I get the thing?
It's the what now.
Yeah, it's the what now. Actually, Mandy, let's change the title to What Now. And we're gonna let Mandy wrap us out today.
Yes, thank you so much for watching. A big thank you to our sponsors, ICANN, Canon, Rode Mics, and Kessler. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. See you soon.